Yo, what's up everyone? Kiros here, and today I want to go over getting you ready for TL50. I just recently hit TL50, so I know how much EXP you need, how much credits you're going to need, and funny enough, it gets slightly easier, but then slightly worse at the same time. So I want to go over some tips real quick, some things I would do in my TL40s, and then I'm going to give you guys the calculator. So if you guys can, hit that like and subscribe. Let's get started. All right, I was able to complete the calculator. Now, one thing this doesn't cover is the traces. I'm going to go in the calculator a little bit later in the video, so hit the chapters if you just want to skip to it on how I explain how you use the calculator. And if you see my other video, you probably have already used the other calculator before. I've cleaned up a few things and I've fixed some of the math on some of it as well. But let's go over some tips that I highly suggest. All right, tip number one has to do with gear. I know a lot of people are probably like, oh man, I hit TL40, I want to get that gold gear and everything like that. And I want to say that you probably don't want to go over that. So let's take an example of my two main characters. I have my main DPS Xu Sheng, who is rocking 2 pieces of gold gear that I did get very lucky on. I got this actually in my TL30s when I was farming Simulated Universe, World 6 and World 5, and I was able to get a slightly better piece of gear. But on most of my characters, except for the Musketeer set, because they throw a lot of that at you, on most of my other characters, I just don't have the best gear always. And that's okay. You don't have to farm a lot of gear. What I did is I spent about maybe 2 to 3 TLs worth of EXP farming gear. So my big tip here is when you guys are farming gear, you're just hitting TL 40, I would only do it for the first couple levels. So as you're going from TL 40 to maybe 43, that's where you try and get your main DPS. Like maybe you have Xu Sheng, get your physical set, try to get a couple extra pieces. And then try and get maybe a Musketeer set for your Dan Heng, or maybe you actually have a Zila or anything like that, and you're going to try and get the Quantum set. What I would say is that at some point you need to dip out, so you make sure that you're prepared going forward. And then the other thing I would say is that make sure you are balancing your energy still with doing the Simulated Universe, because a lot of the gear in here is still really good. It set's really good. Attack set on World 3 is really good with max HP, with giving allies additional attacks. So make sure you're balancing your energy and you're not overdoing it on gear. Otherwise, you're not going to be prepared for TL40. Or, sorry, TL50. All right, tip number 2 is avoid the traces. This is going to sound really bad, and maybe you can focus on a few traces here and there, but do not focus on traces when you're in your TL40s. You probably focus on it a little bit in your TL30s, but you should really only start focusing on it again in your TL50s. You're going to take that hit in your 40s because, as you can see on screen, at TL50, you start getting the purple material, or you get the chance of the purple material, and you get a lot more of the green and higher chances of the blue material. Now, this is the better time to farm it, because if you're just farming nothing but traces, you may not be off to the races with the amount of EXP books you need, the amount of money you need, and a bunch of the other things you do need. Now, in the TL40s, you do get the better EXP materials compared to our TL30s. So you are able to get those gold books. Absolutely amazing. You are able to get those gold light cones. So that's going to help you out a ton. That's why the TL40s is an optimal time to actually farm EXP and light cones. And even maybe over farming it, so that even though you get more of it now at TL50, you're going to shift a lot of your priorities to catching up on your traces. So that's my big tip, is that you maybe want to overfarm XP books and light cone materials and money, so you don't have to do it in your TL50s, so you can focus on a little bit more. The other thing is that you really the reason that you're not focusing on gear is because you actually get 2 pieces of gold gear at TL50. So that's why you don't want to overdo it. It's just going to hurt you. And then obviously this isn't a tip, but this is where you're going to spend a lot of your other energy. And depending on how many 5 stars you have, and I probably highly suggest you only level 1 5-star with a bunch of 4 stars. And this brings me to my huge tip. Big tip. If you are not leveling your main MC, you should be leveling your main MC as your core 4 that you level. And you should only be looking at maybe leveling 4 to 70. And a lot of those should be your DPS and not your support. But the reason why is because you get the Ascension materials for free, so that's going to help you out a ton. And then it brings me to my other big tip before we get into the spreadsheet, is focus on your 2 primary DPS. Now, you may have started working your way into the Forgotten Hall. I'm actually only 1 out of 10 in. It actually is very rough. I barely got through it with 1 star back in my 60s. but you want to make sure that you're focusing on your 2 DPS to make 2 different teams. So I have Dan Heng as one of my DPS, Zhu Sheng is my other DPS, and make sure that those 2 are your priority. Then you can level up 2 other characters to kind of compensate for all that. You can leave your Natasha at 60. You can leave your Asta at 60. You can leave a lot of characters at 60, in all honesty. It's your DPS that are going to make or break you. Now, the main MC could be the next one because you get a nice defensive boost. And I have Gepard, and Gepard's probably going to be my last one that I level up there. I actually did Bronya, so those are going to be the 5 I level. Okay, so this is everyone's favorite part. I'm actually going to move my camera up here. This is everyone's favorite part. And by favorite part, this is probably your most hated part. And yes, could this be cleaned up and better? I am not an Excel guru. I'm good. I'm pretty decent at math. Most of my stuff is napkin math, but I do not know how to formulate that. If someone wants to make this and clean this up and stuff like that and work with me, hit me up in the Discord. We'll work on that. But there's a few things I want to point out. One, I've made these variable sets where you can see, you can plug and play your own numbers. So one thing you can do is say if I zeroed these all out, you can see that we don't have to do anything, right? We don't need any XP material books. We don't have to do any runs. We don't need no energy, no nothing. Nothing needs to be done because we have no characters that we're looking to level. And once again, this is at TL 50. So when you're going from 60 to 70. So hero leveling takes about 1.3 million EXP. Takes roughly 130,000 credits. Now that's an average because it actually some is cheaper, some characters are cheaper and some are more expensive, funny enough. And hero ascension's the same way, so I did average that as well. And then we have light cone EXP at 222,000, and then we have the ascension money it takes, and then also the amount of money it takes to level it up. We're fixing things on the fly. Let's go. All right, not that that really matters. And then I have the amount of materials that you need. So 20 ascension materials. Those are just the raw primary materials that you need. And then I have the ascension materials that you need, the primary ones for your light cones as well. Now, I do break this down based on base mats. So if you do need 5 purple materials, say for example, you're leveling up this one right here and you're going to ascend it, you need 5 purple materials. What the spreadsheet actually does is it breaks it down into the base. So if I was to do one 5-star light cone, you would see that I need 45 materials because that's the green material. If you were to synthesize it all the way up, it's just an easier way to do it. So moral of the story, this is going to tell you what you need to know. So for me personally, I did 1 5-star hero. I did 3 4-star heroes, 1 5-star LC, and 3 4-star LCs, light cones. So this is telling me the amount of materials I need and the amount of runs I need to do. You can see I need to do about 313 runs. It comes out to about 3,835 energy. And what's really cool is I tell you how many days as a free to play you would have to focus on that, which is roughly about 16 days. Now, what I can do is that I can say, hey, okay, so I need about 1.6 million credits. Well, I already have 2 million credits, right? So I can put in 2 million. And it's going to go ahead and null and void out the runs I need right here. So it says I need 0 runs on credits now. It's going to reduce the amount of total runs and the amount of total energy. And it reduces the amount of days it takes me to get this. So I need 260 purple materials. Well, I have the battle pass. So lucky for me, I'm probably sitting at about 180 of them. Bam. That's going to reduce the amount of total runs we need, the amount of days it's going to take, and the amount of total energies that's going to take. We have the same thing for the light cones. I'm sitting on roughly maybe about 120 of those, right? Bam. It's going to lower the amount of runs. We're now down to about an 8-day differential. And you can see how this can help you out a lot. Now, this is based on the average per calyx. It's based on the XP calyx, on how much you typically get on a normal run, and how many materials you typically get on every single run. Now, the one thing I would point out is that I would just make sure that you're maybe not working on those traces. Once again, you're just working on those light cones. You're working on the EXP of your characters, and you can see the amount of money that you're going to need. And you can see even with the amount of money I plugged in right here with the amount of materials, let's say when I have 200 blue for some reason, and I have another 100 blue here in light cone. And you can see I'm actually netting pretty good, only 7 days. But if I up these stats, say I want to get both of my 5 stars up, I also want to have 2 full teams, so that'd be 6 4-star heroes. That means I have 2 5-star LCs, maybe, I don't even know, and then 6 4-star LCs. You can see how that runs off. It's going to take me 22 days to get those all leveled properly. And even with the money I own, I would have to go do runs to get money. So hopefully this helped you out. Let me know in the comments down below. Once again, I will fix the spreadsheet if there's any mathematical errors on the fly, so always check back, or let me know in the comments down below if you find an error. I'll get it corrected. And I'm just looking to help you guys out. Come join us on our twitch.tv channel. I do appreciate you. Take it easy, and fist bump from me to you.